Hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? Welcome back to Spanish Lessons with Professor Jason. In this lesson, I'm going to focus on the verb gustar and how to use it to express likes and dislikes in Spanish. Now, one of the tricky things about this topic is that the syntax or the structure of the phrases is a little bit different than how we would use them in English. But I promise that if you practice the examples I'll present in this lesson, things will start to fall into place and to make sense pretty quickly. Now, in English, we say that a person likes something. But in Spanish, the equivalent is closer to saying that something is pleasing to someone. So, for example, in English I would say, I like ice cream. But take a look at the Spanish equivalent. I would say, a mí me gusta el helado, which literally means ice cream is pleasing to me. So, to express what things people like or what activities they like to do in Spanish, we use the verb gustar, and we're going to conjugate it in the third person singular or the third person plural, and we also have to use the appropriate indirect object pronouns. Now you may be asking yourself, what does he mean by indirect object pronouns? Alright, I thought you might have that question, so I'm going to provide a quick review. Here's a review of those pronouns, the indirect object pronouns, and what their equivalents are in English. So first of all, we have me, which means to me, or te, to you. Le means to him, to her, or to you formal, usted. Okay? Nos refers to us. Os means to you guys in Spain, os. And les could be to them, or in Latin America, to you all, to you guys. Alright? Okay. In the present tense then, gustar is going to be conjugated in the singular form, gusta, or in the plural form, gustan, in agreement with what is pleasing to the person. In other words, the form of gustar has to agree with the thing, not with the person being spoken of. But probably the best way to illustrate this is to give you a bunch of examples. So that's what I want to do. First of all, here are some examples that illustrate how to say that you or others like to do certain activities. So the focus here is on doing an activity. Take a look. If I want to say I like to fish, I would say a mí me gusta pescar, or just me gusta pescar. I also like to read, también me gusta leer. A ti te gusta cantar, or just simply te gusta cantar would mean singing is pleasing to you, or you like to sing. A Pablo le gusta andar de motocicleta. A nosotros nos gusta mirar películas. A mis padres les gusta acampar. Now if we know who we're talking about, we can take off that first part that begins with a and just say me gusta pescar, te gusta cantar, le gusta andar de motocicleta, nos gusta mirar películas, or les gusta acampar. But it has to be clear who we're referring to whom the activity is pleasing. Okay, moving on to some examples of how you would ask questions about what activities people enjoy. So you can use these questions to ask people about what things they like to do. Here are those examples. Pablo, ¿qué te gusta hacer? And he could answer, me gusta andar de motocicleta. If I want to ask you guys, ¿qué les gusta hacer a ustedes? And they would answer, nos gusta mirar películas. Or an open-ended, who likes camping? Who likes to camp? ¿A quién le gusta acampar? And somebody says, my parents. A mis padres les gusta acampar. As you can see from these examples, when you're speaking of activities, verbs, gustar is conjugated in the singular. Again, regardless of the persons being spoken of. I can speak of my parents, you, us, to me, to you, to my parents. But the verb gustar is always in the singular because I'm talking about an activity which is considered singular. Think of it that way. Alright? The next group of examples shows how to talk about things that people may like. Alright? So pay attention with this group to whether gustar is conjugated in the singular or the plural. And I made it kind of easy because I underlined the ending of the verb. Alright? Here are those examples. Me gustan las manzanas. I like apples. ¿A ti te gusta la cerveza? ¿Te gusta la cerveza? Sí, me gusta mucho la cerveza. ¿A ustedes les gustan las películas de terror? No, no nos gustan las películas de terror. ¿Qué tipo de auto te gusta? Me gustan los autos deportivos. Notice here I switch from a singular question to a plural form in the answer. ¿Qué tipo de auto te gusta? Me gustan los autos deportivos. And the form of gustar reflects that change. ¿Qué tipo de música te gusta? Singular. Me gusta la música clásica. Singular. ¿Cuál canal te gusta más? Which channel do you like the most? Me gusta más CNN. Okay, now you probably noticed that when speaking of singular nouns like música or canal, gustar is conjugated in the singular as gusta. But if the nouns are plural like manzanas or películas, we use the plural form of gustar, which is gustan. Okay? Now your assignment then is to go back and review these examples until they start making sense. Alright? But remember the basic rule that gustar is conjugated in the singular, third person singular, or plural, depending on what it is that's pleasing, not the person being spoken of. The person being spoken of is represented with the indirect object pronouns me, te, le, nos, etc. Alright? So, as always, I welcome your comments, questions, and suggestions, so please let me know what you thought about this video lesson. And this has been Professor Jason. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Hasta pronto.